we are back with yet another week of American football news. This time, the NFL will be our focus. All right, for all of those who have been following my podcast for the 2018-2019 football season, you will now notice that college football will no longer be posted onto the various media outlets, SoundCloud, Tumblr, YouTube, things like that, because the college football season is currently in limbo. That's right, we are waiting for the bowl games to start to be played. Once those bowl games will be played, we will have a post-bowl game show for the college season, going over the bowl results, some of the closer games, the national champions, and a look ahead at the 2019-2020 season, as well as a look back on some of the award winners for the 2018-2019 season. However, that is college football. We are talking about the professional league here in America. That's right, the National Football League. We just got done with Week 14, the 2018 season winding down. Several teams already securing playoff spots, others in position, and a few that are on the outside looking in, but you can't count them out because statistically they have a chance. Right now, we will go over some of the final scores from last week, and we'll move into some other news here in a few minutes. Last week kicked off with a Thursday night game. It was a bit of a snoozer, but was good nonetheless, and a good way to kick off the week. Last Thursday saw the Jacksonville Jaguars, who have fallen off of prominence this year, take on the Tennessee Titans, who can't seem to get anything consecutive going on. They're 7-6, third in the AFC South, which has proved to be much, much tougher than originally thought. Jacksonville, of course, in the basement in that particular division at 4-9. But this Tennessee team, they've got a lot of things going for them, and if they don't make the playoffs this year, a few moves here or there, and they'll be right back in that conversation next year. However, the same can't be said with Jacksonville. It seems like Jacksonville's time has now come and went. Their big-time quarterback, Leonard Fournette, can't seem to get anything going. Has been plagued with injuries this year. They desperately need a quarterback. Knock, knock, Detroit Lions. This is a team that had a lot of hopes, that a lot of people said could have made the Super Bowl last year and was definitely a contender this year, and they just have fallen flat of any sort of expectations whatsoever. Moving on to another game, we saw two New York teams battle it out this weekend. The New York Jets took on the Buffalo Bills. And the Jets, claiming the right to call themselves Kings of New York, able to put down the Bills, who again are one of those teams that can't seem to get anything going consecutively. Final score on that one was 27-23. Skip ahead to this one. This was a surprise. The Cleveland Browns, yes, I know we've been talking about them a lot. They've done some things this year that are very good. They've done some years this year that makes you scratch your head. But they're definitely moving in the right direction. There's no denying that. They took on the Carolina Panthers, who are not moving in the right direction, who have absolutely put it in reverse and slammed on the gas. This is a team that has basically thrown in the towel since week 6. Just not able to do anything consecutive or with any sort of, hurried attitude, I guess you could say. I mean, the season's winding down, and this is the Carolina Panthers team that went to the Super Bowl only a few years ago, and they still have a lot of those key components, and just absolutely not playing to that level this year. And this game was a result of it. The Cleveland Browns were able to push around the Carolina Panthers for most of the game. Baker Mayfield looked very, very, very good. Cleveland fans very happy with him. Jarvis Landry doing well. Nick Chubb doing well. This Cleveland program is starting to come around. Unfortunately, they play in a very tough AFC North division and have to get through the Steelers and the Bengals. And you got to throw the Baltimore Ravens in there every once in a while now, because they're a quarterback away from having a very, very good team. Cleveland wins this one in Carolina, 26-20. Now we skip ahead to what everybody is talking about, what's been on everybody's mind since Sunday. The Miami Miracle. The Miami Dolphins beat the New England Patriots on a last-second play. Lateral here, lateral there, a third lateral, missed tackle. Gronkowski can't tackle because he's not a defensive player, and the Miami Dolphins walk away victorious over the New England Patriots. What a game. Make up any excuse you want, Patriots fans. It was raining, the officials, you didn't get to see the practice, you couldn't deflate the balls, you weren't able to send in somebody with a camera, whatever. At the end of the day, you lost to the Miami Dolphins in the worst possible way. And food for thought, if you go back and look at the history between these two teams, Miami is one of the few teams that gives New England fits year in and year out. Usually able to win one game. This year, I believe this is a series sweep against the New England Patriots. That is something that doesn't happen very often. And I hate talking about the Patriots with any sort of accolades attached to it, because once a cheater, always a cheater. They were caught years and years ago doing something questionable, and every time they are successful, something like that pops up again. So I'm very, very pleased with Miami Dolphins getting a win over the New England Patriots. We move again to a different team in the AFC. This was a very good game that had to go to overtime and won in one of the most improbable throws ever. Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs struggled Sunday against the Baltimore Ravens, who have nothing to lose, so we're going to play like it. Again, this game was forced into overtime, but Mahomes, with that Mahomes magic, was able to keep the Kansas City win streak alive and was able to put down the Baltimore Ravens in a closely contested game in overtime, 27-24. Skip ahead to the NFC South. The New Orleans Saints firmly in control of that division, this time playing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who are up and down, up and down, up and down, just like majority of the teams in the league. Saints and Breeze come away with a win, 28-14. Move ahead to another New York team, this time the Giants taking on the Washington Redskins, who have trended downward sharply since Alex Smith's incredibly gruesome leg injury. We only hope the best for Alex Smith and a speedy recovery. Reports are indicating that his career might be over, which is a shame because the Redskins were in a position to maybe do some damage in the postseason this particular year. However, Eli and company were able to get things going despite the fact that Odell Beckham Jr. sat out the game. Giants win big and put on an offensive show, 40-16. The Houston Texans have lost 2 in a row now. The Indianapolis Colts were one of those teams that's on the up and up. Andrew Luck playing very, very well. Injury-free, finally. This time, the Texans fall to Indianapolis in a close one, 24-21. Move over to L.A., the Chargers, who are playing very, very well right now, and definitely a team to keep your eye on defensively for sure. Offensively, they are a slower team to get going, but once they get going, they're going. The Chargers took on the Bengals this weekend in Los Angeles, and Phillip Rivers and company simply too much for Andy Dalton and the Cincinnati Bengals. Chargers win by 5 points, 26-21. All right, so we go to another rivalry game. This one, I've always been confused as to why it's a rivalry game, but after watching the game this last Sunday, I finally understand. The defending Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles took on the Dallas Cowboys in Big D, and this was a slugfest. These two teams trading punches, getting chippy, playing good traditional football. This game was forced into overtime, where the Dallas Cowboys were able to secure a win over the Philadelphia Eagles with a pass from Dak Prescott to Amari Cooper. Ball is flipped up in the air by a defensive man. Cooper snatches it out. There's nobody around and is literally able to walk in for the win for the Cowboys. And the Cowboys are still very much in the playoff hunt. Keep your eye on them. Another close game, the Oakland Raiders, one of the worst teams in the league, took on the Pittsburgh Steelers, who have trended downward or have started to trend downward. losing a couple of games, not playing very well, just looking out of sync. And not at the right time either. Still in control of the AFC North, but that is a very slim lead now over the Baltimore Ravens. This game was going well. Pittsburgh put themselves in position with time running out to tie this game and force it into overtime against an overachieving Oakland Raiders team. But the snap was bad, the hold was bad, the kick was bad, and the Oakland Raiders walked away with a rare win in this 2018 season. Move over to the NFC. A tradition of losing seems to be the way to go in Detroit. Haven't won a playoff game since 1991. Haven't won an NFC North title since 1993. And if you are a fan of this team, you have another stat that you were looking at this weekend, and that was the Detroit Lions had not beaten the Arizona Cardinals in the desert since 1993. Where did Detroit have to go this weekend? To Arizona to play in the desert. However, the Lions are not the same team they were 10 years ago or even 5 years ago. They're a good team. They're in position to be a much better team. You can't say that there's a fire or a problem yet. You have to give their new head coach time. But the biggest question in my mind is their quarterback. What are they going to do with him? Either way, they took on the Cardinals this weekend. A very solid performance offensively by the Lions saw them secure their first win in the desert in Arizona since 1993, 17-3. Move ahead to Sunday night. The very, very talented Chicago Bears, getting their quarterback, Michael Trubisky, back, took on the red-hot and super-powered Los Angeles Rams. And I watched this game, folks. Going into halftime, it was only 6-6. A defensive slugfest, to say the least, and nobody saw it coming. The Rams simply not able to get over the monsters of the Midway. The Chicago Bears have a monstrous defense this year. The NFL had better take notice. The Bears able to push around the Rams for the most part and pick up the win 15-6. Last night concluded this week in the NFL, and we saw the Minnesota Vikings take on the Seattle Seahawks. The Seahawks have been trending upward now for a while. The Minnesota Vikings with Kirk Cousins are just absolutely plummeting like a rocket, or like a comet. Seattle able to secure the win last night and defeated the Vikings 21-7. All right, with only a few minutes left, we're going to go over the conference standings, and we'll take a look at the playoff picture if it were to start today. Starting in the AFC, the leader in the AFC East is the New England Patriots, sitting at 9-4, with the Miami Dolphins in second place at 7-6. In the AFC North, a bit tighter, the Pittsburgh Steelers are 7-5-1. The Baltimore Ravens are in second at 7-6-0, and Cleveland still has a chance, believe it or not, sitting at 5-7-1. So watch out for the AFC North. Moving to the South, Houston is still in control despite their last couple of losses, sitting at 9-4. Indianapolis and Tennessee are sharing the number 2 spot in the NFC South right now at 7-6. Move to the AFC West. Kansas City, who just clinched their playoff spot this weekend, is sitting at 11-2, with the LA Chargers right behind them, literally a game behind, at 10-3. Okay, we move over now to the NFC and look at the NFC East. The Dallas Cowboys, who a few weeks ago were in third place, have moved their way up to first place and are now sitting atop the NFC East division at 8-5, with Philadelphia and Washington both tied at second at 6-7. Move over to the NFC North. The once mighty Minnesota Vikings are no longer in control of this division. The Chicago Bears have moved into the number 1 spot, sitting at 9-1. Minnesota sitting at 6-1. And two teams that are on the outside looking in, Detroit and Green Bay. Looking at the NFC South, New Orleans has secured their position and are sitting at 11-2. And going to the NFC West, the Rams have secured their position as well. Take care.